I'd like to wish everyone a wonderful day and good morning to you as well, even though we're nearing noontime. And I'm really very excited to be here, though it's a virtual presence. My thoughts are with you, everyone gathered there, and I'm hoping that the gathering will be just absolutely wonderful and that you learn a lot. Um, Certainly, we're in these strange times because of the novel coronavirus. However, it doesn't prevent us from being together, meeting together, and seeing one another. And with that, I wanted to just briefly introduce myself to you. My name is Manley Begay Jr. I'm from the Navajo Nation. Uh, and typically, at Navajo, we usually always mention our clans just because sometimes our relatives might be sitting in the audience and they automatically identify with you, and relations are restored and thought of. So in that fashion, don't ne enchli ne e yamai tishkiji enchla kachine bashin do look at ne dashiche akut awet ne the enchla. So my clans, I come from a matriarchal, matrilineal society. So my clans are always my mother's clans, and my mother's clan is Coyote Pass clan, but our real clan name is White Corn People. So that's really who I am as a Navajo man. I'm currently living in Flagstaff, Arizona, in northern part of Arizona, where um, we get a lot of snow. You can see my background. This is the mountain that's present, forever present here in Flagstaff. We wake up every morning, bless ourselves with this mountain, and so that's who I am as a Navajo man. Professionally, I'm a professor at Northern Arizona University in the Department of Applied Indigenous Studies. I teach courses on nation building, Navajo philosophy of life, and I'm happy to be here because planning is not something that has just been around with us since someone wrote a textbook on planning, or someone wrote a textbook on comprehensive planning. From a traditional indigenous perspective, planning is a part of life, and it's found in the geographical nature of who we are. So what I mean by this is the following. In traditional Navajo thinking, the process of life, the process of getting stuff done begins with thinking. You have to think about what it is you want to do. So thinking precipitates everything. And then it's followed by planning. So the stuff that you think about, you put it into a plan. Okay, you say, this is the way it's going to get done. And then the next step is really about life. How do you implement it in life? And then after you implement it, you have to think about how assured are you that the plan, the implementation actually did what it was supposed to do? And how do you reevaluate it? And interestingly enough, the concept of planning is rooted in one of the four directions from a Navajo thinking perspective. So the East is where good thinking comes from, according to traditional Navajo thought. The South is where planning derives from. And the West is where life and implementation lies. And the North is where assurance, hope, and reevaluation is at: prayer, hope, songs, and so forth. So we, at least for Navajo people, we look at planning in one of the four directions. It's a part of who we are. So when we pray, it's always a part of what we pray about. And planning is so critical in being resilient in in times of stress, in times of crisis. So that's what I've seen across indigenous country in the response to COVID. Um, Resilience doesn't occur just because we want to be resilient. It occurs uh, because of planning. It occurs because of the implementation of those plans and thinking about how to do what needs to be done. And there's some lessons to be found in the midst of COVID. Um, and and those indigenous nations that have had the forethought and the vision to be able to respond well to COVID, have have really interestingly have put strategic thinking and planning at the forefront of their fight, because it truly is a fight. It's a battle with this virus, COVID-19, and strategic thinking and planning are really the primary reasons why they have fought well. And culture has also played a big part in this also. And I'll explain why. There are many indigenous nations that have fared relatively well, and I'm saying this with the understanding that the passing of one of our relatives is too much. That the suffering of one of our relatives is too much. So to think about how indigenous nations are to move forward, it really is rooted in our language. It's really rooted in our culture. It's rooted in our songs and our stories. And culture is so important during a time like this, in the middle of a pandemic. It keeps us strong. It keeps us positive. And our teachings from the creation scriptures, Majorian narratives, have already told us about such things as the coronavirus. This is nothing new to us. We know where it comes from. We know the name of the virus. And we've also been told how to combat it as well, how to fight it. All we have to do is listen carefully.